Hi guys! Let's start 3D modeling in Tinkercad. First of all, go to Tinkercad website. And please join now or sign in. It's recommended to use Google Chrome browser. Click Create New Design to start 3D modeling. We're going to look over how to adjust your screen/perspective in Tinkercad. Using a mouse is highly recommended for more convenient 3D modeling. If you hold right-click and move, you can turn your screen in 360 degrees. By scrolling, you can zoom in and zoom out of your screen. By holding and moving scroll wheel, you can change your point of view, up and down, left and right. If you are a beginner of 3D modeling program, I guess this might be the most confusing thing. We are now designing 3D object, but what we are looking at is two-dimensional flat monitor. And sometimes you may get lost entirely. Ouch! In this trouble, click the home view icon here on your left side. Then, it will go back to the right screen, facing the front top of your work plane. Instead of using right-click, you can also turn your screen by clicking the view box at the left top corner. By clicking, the screen will turn, or you can also click and drag the view box wherever you want. Here is the tricky situation in 3D modeling. From your point of view, it looks like you build up a house. But when you turn the other side, they are not fit and totally twisted. In fact, it happens quite often. So it is important to turn your screen and check while you are doing 3D modeling work. One more thing is that, but you may forget to zoom in and then move your head closer into the monitor manually. It hurts your neck so bad. So it would be the best to zoom in your object fully fit in your screen. In Tinkercad, for this function, you need to select your object and press F. If you press F, it turns to fit view with full size of your object in the center of the screen. Shortcut is F. If you are making on devices without keyboard, such as iPad, you can use icon menu on your left side. The second icon with 4 corners of square is for fit view. Plus and minus icons below have zoom in and out function. Tinkercad provides 2 types of view. Basically, they provide perspective views. That is what we are seeing now. If you click the last icon, it turns to the other flat view. Can you see the difference? When you start the program, perspective view is set as a default generally. This perspective view is similar to human's vision and clear to understand 3D objects. On the other hand, in the flat view, if you look down from the right top of the box, you can only see square shape. So this flat view is useful when you need top view. At the same point with the perspective view, again, you can see trim around the square slightly. Either way is fine to make on 3D modeling. Personally, I set and use it in the perspective view. You can set your point of view according to your preference. we are going to look over how to place and move shapes in Tinkercad. You can find various colorful shapes on your right side. There are scribble and text. We will look over them in later videos. Please wait for it. For other shapes, you can just click and put shapes on your work plane. Turn your work plane like this. It would be better to check your shapes in different perspectives as often as possible, since we are making three-dimensional figures. When the shape is selected, you can see dots and points in the shape. How to move the shape on your work plane. You can just click and drag it to where you want to place it. Did you catch that the shape moves only stick onto the sky blue work plane? When you try to move the shape above the work plane in this up direction, you may click the shape and drag it up. And then it will go far, far away. Bye-bye. Don't worry, there is Ctrl Z. There is also undo button on the above toolbar. If you want to move the shape above the work plane up in Z-axis, you should hold this black triangle point above the shape and drag it in order to move it up in Z-axis. Conversely, you can also move it down below the work plane. This sky blue place is only to indicate the standard work plane. We are using three-dimensional modeling program, so you can move it up and down from the work plane. Instead of using a mouse, you can move it by arrow keys in keyboard when the shape is selected. You cannot move it up or down in Z-axis, but only move left and right, back and forth on the work plane. If you want to move it up and down in Z-axis, you need to hold the Control key with arrow keys up and down. In this program, it doesn't matter where you put your shapes in Z-axis. However, if you are planning to actually print them out by 3D printer, it would be better to place them on the work plane. Anyway, 3D printer will print it out piling up from the bottom. So you need to know alphabet D, A, B, C, D, D, David key in this program. When you select the shape and press D, the shape is dropping back on the work plane. If you will print out, it is good to remember D key. Of course, you can adjust it on the work plane manually without shortcut. We are going to look over how to change grid setting and delete shapes. When you're moving shapes by your arrow keys, it moves 1 millimeter at a time because it is determined by grid setting. If you go down to the right corner, you can find icons here. If I change snap grid to 5 millimeter, then you can make a big step of 5 millimeter at a time. Normally, I use it set in 1 millimeter. In the case that you need delicate subtle adjustment, but using mouse is hard to do that, then you gotta lower snap grid to 0.1 millimeter and adjust it. If you click the Edit Grid button, you can change grid properties. As a default, there are width and height for the size of work plane, which is set as 200 millimeter, 20 centimeter now. If needed, you can change the unit to inches or bricks. If you have 3D printer, you can change the preset to match your 3D printer. Personally, the size of work plane itself doesn't matter much. When you delete shapes, you just need to select shapes and press Delete or Backspace key. If you accidentally delete important shapes, you can use shortcut Ctrl Z, or also there is Undo button above toolbar. In iPad, select shapes and click garbage bin icon in toolbar. We're going to look over how to change the size of shapes. When you select shapes and bring them on the work plane, you can see the dots around the shapes. They are also called anchor point. When you click and drag an anchor point, the shape is resized. There is a black point in the middle of the side. If you click and drag it, only the other side of the selected point has changed. If you click and drag a white anchor point at the corner, two sides adjacent to the selected point have changed. Did you recognize that you cannot change the height of the shape by the points we have tried? For the height, you need to find this white point in the center and drag it. Then you can make it higher or lower. As you can see, anchor points are scattered everywhere, and black triangle for the movement in z-axis is located very closely. Hence, you need to click the right point carefully for the proper function. When you change the size, if you drag anchor points carelessly, it would ruin the initial ratio of this shape. But if you hold Shift key and drag, you can see the shape is resized in fixed ratio. Without Shift key. Holding Shift key, without Shift key. Holding Shift key. Can you see the difference? There is one more tip. Now I click and drag one anchor point with Shift key, and you can see the opposite point. The left top point is the pinpoint of resizing. If I hold Alt key now, then the pinpoint of resizing has changed to the center of the shape. Holding only Shift without Alt key. Holding Alt key with Shift. Without both Shift and Alt, the shape is resized chaotically like this. Shift key is for the fixed ratio. Alt key is the pinpoint in the center. In Tinkercad, you can also directly put value to resize it. Select the shape and place your cursor on the anchor point. Then value boxes come out. You can resize the shape putting exact numbers in these value boxes. Select one anchor point and click the value box. Put the value you want, then it will be resized. For the height, click this white point up here, put the value, and lastly, enter. Select the shape, click one anchor point, and put the value. That's all for resizing by number. If you haven't changed the grid setting, default unit in Tinkercad is millimeter. It is 50 millimeter, which means 5 centimeter. Until now, we have learned how to resize shapes together. We are going to look over how to rotate shapes. When you select the shape, anchor points come out, and look carefully among them. You can find 3 arc points. Put your mouse on it, then the circle gauge for degree comes out. According to your point of view, there might be 2 or only 1 arc points that you can see in the screen. In this case, you need to adjust your screen to find more arc points. These 3 arc points are to rotate shapes. If you click the arc point and then drag, the shape is rotated. Each arc point rotates the shape in X, Y, and Z axis. If you are too young to know what X, Y, and Z axes are, then it would be better to try all 3 arc points one by one to figure out how it rotates with your eyes. There is one hidden tip in this function. When you click arc points and get your mouse closer to the shape, you can use snap degree. Snap, snap, snap. You can see the snap works by 22.5 degrees, 1/4 of a right angle. This function makes it more easy to rotate shapes in 90 degree and 180 degree sharply. If you get your mouse far from the shape, of course you can rotate it by 1 degree delicately. When the mouse is closer to the shape, when the mouse is far from the shape, you can see the rotation works differently. If you want to rotate the shape by 45 degrees precisely, then hold the Shift key together. By holding the Shift key, 45 degree, 90 degree, you can rotate the shape conveniently. Similar to the size of shape, you can input your number for the degree. Click the arc point, then the value boxes come out. Put the number you want in the value box. Then it will be rotated accordingly. If you put minus 35 degrees, it will be rotated counterclockwise. But the thing you gotta be cautious is that once you rotate the shape, the degree in the value box will be reset to 0. It doesn't record how much you have rotated before. It's gone. Then it might be hard to find where to go back. Hence, you need to remember the value how much you put, or send SOS sign to Magical Control Z. In Tinkercad, it is more convenient for you to remember how much degree you rotate the shape by. We're going to look over how to customize shapes. When you select a shape and put it in the work plane, Property panel pops up on your right side. Some shapes don't provide this property panel. You cannot customize several shapes. Firstly, for the box, there is radius bar in the panel. If you raise the value of radius, sliding this button right, the corners of box become round. Look at that. Nextly, let's try steps below. If you lower the value of steps, sliding this button left, smooth round sides become angular size. When the steps go higher, the shapes have rounder, smoother sides. When the steps go lower, the shapes have rough, angular sides, getting closer to polygons. For the cylinder, you can see it has 20 sides in the panel. which means it consists of 20 faces in the side. When you actually print this model out, the angular size will be more outstanding than you see in the screen. Hence, if you are planning to print out, it is recommended to put max value in the size in order to get smoother, rounder shape. Here is one tip for you. While you are working on 3D modeling, you might attach shapes to others or group them. The thing is that once you group the shape to others, you cannot modify the properties of each shape anymore. It is important to customize the essential properties from the beginning. Especially if you are going to print round objects like cylinder, you need to set size as max value. It appears to spheres as well. With higher value of steps, sphere becomes more round and smoother. Among basic shapes, cone is also frequently used one in addition to box, cylinder, and sphere. There are base radius and top radius in the panel. Change the value like this. According to the value of size, it becomes an angular polygon either. Let's see the star. There are 5 points in the basic star shape. If you raise the value of points, you see more points here. It turns similar to pointy sun drawing with pointy top. With the least points, you can make a triangular pyramid. What about tube? Here, the thickness of the wall. I put number 1 here, then it becomes very thin. Wall thickness can be modified according to your requirement. As I told you before, it doesn't mean that every shape provides customizing options. Honestly, I don't know exactly which shapes don't provide customizing or vice versa. You gotta do it one by yourself. Check your property panel on your right side and figure out which has customizing options or not. We can have so much fun with these basic shapes in 3D modeling. In this video, we're going to look over how to group and color shapes. In Tinkercad, there are roughly 2 ways of modeling. One is combining, and the other is subtracting. Combining is just to add more and more shapes and put them together. Let's try combining with this sphere. Select the shape and use shortcut Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. Now we have lots of spheres copied and pasted together. Look at that. It seems like a huge blue caterpillar. In fact, this caterpillar is not one piece, but a part by pieces. We just copy and paste a bunch of spheres, which doesn't mean they are combined together. If you want to combine them, you need to use group function in Tinkercad. First, select every shape for the group by drag. Either drag a whole or select one by one with Shift key. It doesn't matter. It's up to your preference. I prefer drag a whole though. Once more than 2 shapes are selected, you can find the group button on the toolbar on your right up side is activated. If you click this group button, now the shapes are combined to one piece of caterpillar. When you change the size, the whole caterpillar is resized. When you rotate it, the whole caterpillar turns. You can see they become one group. Grouping is combining selected shapes. If you want to release this group backwards, Click Ungroup next to Group button. The shapes will be separated by pieces. Then you can adjust each shape's size, location, and so forth. After adjustment on shapes, you can drag them again to make a group. Grouping doesn't mean that shapes have to meet each other. Although you place shapes apart, just drag them together and group. You can see they become one piece of a group now. Did you notice that once the shapes become one group, the color of the red box turns to blue? The color of shapes are controlled in the Property panel. Place the shape and click Solid in the panel. Then you will have a sub-panel with a variety of color options. You can choose color in the palette. You can also set transparent as color at the right bottom corner. If you go to Custom tab, you can customize your own color in detail. However, if you group shapes, they turn to the same color, showing they become one piece. Do you want to keep the original color of each shape? Let's go to the panel and click Solid. At the left bottom of the sub-panel, you can find Multicolor checkbox. If you check it, the initial color of each shape will come back. Previously, we went through combining shapes. We're going to look over how to subtract shapes. Here, I put a red box on the work plane. If you look at the top of the basic shape list, there are a pair of boxes and cylinders. If you bring the first shapes on the work plane, you can notice these are transparent with diagonal patterns. It's blinking on the top of the shapes because they have same heights. This transparent shape is called hole shape, which has subtract function. The hole shape makes the overlap part subtracted. It would be more convenient to make hole shapes higher than others and locate them visibly. Resizing, rotating, etc. All the functions we did in previous videos are applied to this hole shape too. So I put them like this and select all together by drag. You need to select all shapes, including the main body and hole shapes. Then click the Group button. You can see the overlap hole shapes are gone. This is the subtracting in Tinkercad. As you can guess, you can do ungroup and modify hole size or quantity again. Putting hole shapes doesn't mean anything. Don't forget to group them together. Grouping is the finish line of subtracting. By the way, there are a bunch of shapes in the list, but why there are only box and cylinder for subtracting? Did you remember how to change the color of shapes? Yes, click Solid in the panel. Next to the solid icon, there is hole section. If you click this, every shape loses their color and becomes the hole shape for subtracting. That means you can use every shape as a hole shape. I bring heart shape on the work plane. The hole shape will subtract the overlapped part. In other words, hole shape makes a hole through the main body. Or, if you leave the bottom and move it a little bit up in Z-axis, you can check the difference. Let's select them by drag and group it. Left one is the hole through the main body, but the other is a heart-shaped container. According to the location of hole shape, you can make a hole or a shaped container. As I told you, you can do rotate, copy, and paste, and so far to hole shapes as same as basic shapes. I put this box hole shape and rotate 45 degrees. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, V, V. Copy and paste several boxes here. These hole shapes also can be grouped together. It makes one big hole shape. Now I have one big zigzag hole shape. How many hole shapes you can have depends how you use shapes in different ways. With grouping, I made a wiki character. The thing is that I can also use this new character as a hole shape. Use this shape as a hole shape again. All you need to do now is to decide you're gonna make it engraved or embossed. Using hole shapes in various ways, you can make tens of thousands of shapes only with basic shapes. We are going to look over how to align and mirror shapes. I will show you the align function with these two shapes. I want to place them in the center together. Then you need to select both shapes by drag. Or select one by one with Shift key. When both shapes are selected, the align icon in right up toolbar is activated. Once you click this align icon, you will have black points around the shapes. Click these black points, then the shapes will be aligned. This is the align function. Look carefully when you align shapes. You can simply align shapes in the center of the both shapes' original place. If you place your mouse over one of the shapes, then the black points will come out around the heart shape. Click one of black points over this heart shape, then the heart doesn't move, but the other shape will come toward the heart and be aligned. This is how to set the pinpoint of align function. There is also a shortcut for align. Just select two shapes and press L key. Press L key will activate align black point. After aligning shapes, you may scatter shapes accidentally, making other shapes. So it will be better to group aligned shapes. Grouping makes them all in identical color, but you can fix it in the panel with multicolor check. In modeling, you may need to make reflected shapes, either in vertical or horizontal. You don't need to make it again, but just copy and paste original shapes and reflect it by mirror function. For example, I roughly made robot arm shape here. Firstly, group these shapes. Fix the same color by checking multicolor in the panel. Using Ctrl C and Ctrl V, copy and paste this grouped shape. Place this copied arm in wherever you want. Go up to the toolbar. There is mirror next to the align icon. Click this mirror icon, then the arrow points will come out around the selected shape. You have to click this arrow point to mirror your shapes. With this function, You don't need to make the shape again. You can copy and paste the original shape and mirror it. As you may expect, there is a shortcut for mirror function. You just need to remember M for mirror. Select the shape and press M. Then you will have arrow points around the shape. Click the arrow point to make a mirrored shape. We're going to look over how to manage your files. You might already notice that there is no Save button in Tinkercad. Strangely, there is no Save button. While you're making and changing shapes, you need to check the status bar above the toolbar. Right after any action in Tinkercad, shortly it says Saving. And then, finally, the message becomes All changes saved. Tinkercad uploads every file in the cloud server. As soon as Tinkercad detects any changes, it unloads your file in the cloud, so it doesn't need Save button. It's automatically saved. I finalized the robot with its face. If you want to open the previous file, then you need to go to Dashboard. On your left top corner, there is colorful Tinkercad logo. If you click this logo, you will go to Dashboard. In Dashboard, you can find all files you have made before. When you want to start new design, click Create New Design button. If you want to edit an existing file, and click Tinkercad button at the left top corner. Tinkercad saves every file automatically in the cloud. Do you want to save your design as an image file? There is Send to button at the right end of the toolbar. You will have Send dialog box when you click it. And click Download Locally button under the picture of your design. Image as shown in the screen will be downloaded. We have went through how to download your model in image file. Since the image is captured according to your screen perspective, you need to adjust your screen wheel. As you can see now, if I adjust my screen like this, then the image will be captured in this way. If you want to print your model, then you need a file to print out. In that case, please click Export button next to Send to button. You can download your file in several formats such as OBJ, STL, and SVG. Basically, STL is widely used format for 3D print. In the dialog box, you can see everything in the design is checked, because I didn't select anything in work plane. If I select the face shape and click Export button, you can see one more checkbox option of the selected shape, which means you can export only selected shapes. If you want to export the all shapes in the work plane, select Nothing and export them. But if you have some useless shapes for practice, the exported file will include those unnecessary shapes together. I believe the best way is select the shapes you want to 3D print. Put them in a group and export this group. Now we have downloaded a STL file. When you export file, OBJ format includes model's color data. If you are planning to print in single color FDM 3D printer, aka FFF, you don't need OBJ format definitely. STL file is enough in this case. This SVG format is a bit different. Only outline of the shape sliced by the work plane will be exported in SVG file. If the shapes placed above or below the work plane, you cannot export any shapes in SVG format. SVG file is for laser cutting. That means this is not 3D, but two-dimensional. You need to export file in STL if you want a 3D print.